Speaker is Mr. Verhofstadt.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think it's important to recall that the British Parliament may be shut down, but we are clearly showing today with this debate that the European Union is not what is the case in Britain. And it's fantastic that the Brexit Party and Mr Farage are making so much noise because they can't do it in Westminster anymore, so they have to do it here. By the way, they are not even elected in Westminster. So, So, you know, dear colleagues, Eurosceptics, they like something. They like, in fact, bashing Europe by saying that the European Union is undemocratic, and you can be sure that in a few moments they're going to repeat that, huh? They're going to repeat that. Well, I can tell you that Jean-Claude Juncker or Tusk can do a lot of things, but at least they cannot close the doors of our house. That is not possible. So if the Eurosceptics in the coming hours now, in the coming minutes, want to use again for a ridiculous comparison with the Soviet Union, from now on they can point the finger to Westminster instead to Strasbourg or to Brussels. That seems to me the good way forward now for them. Now, my hope is that, President, today, with the vote today of the resolution, we will reiterate our unity about Brexit. And unity that means Parliament, that means the Commission, that means the Council, and that means the 27 Member States. There is no discussion about this. Brexit is bad. It's a bad idea. But it got at least one positive effect. That is to reunite the Europeans and to make the European project, since Brexit, again more popular. That is what we have seen in all the public opinions inside the European Union. In fact, the message of the people during the elections was very clear. Reform Europe. Don't destroy Europe. Don't leave Europe. And that was the case in all our member states. And that was also the case in Britain, because nearly 40 of the 73 elected British MEPs are Remainers today. That brings me, dear colleagues, to the main point. That is the outcome, the deal. That is still possible, I think. And we as Parliament in the resolution set in fact three conditions, and I want to recall, President, these three conditions. The first is to safeguard the rights of our citizens, and for the Europeans and for the British alike. And today I have to tell you that is not achieved. There are every day in the British press proposals, examples of people already living 1 decade, even 2 decades in Britain, who cannot have this so-called settled status. So I think we need a fundamental shift in the way the UK government applies at least that part of the withdrawal agreement. What we don't need is a bureaucratic application as it is now. What we need from the British government is an automatic registration of all our EU citizens. And I know, and you know, that Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, likes a lot to compare himself with movie characters, as we know. Well, dear colleagues, concerning citizens' rights, instead of playing the angry Hulk, I think he should inspire himself by another character, the caring nanny, the film of Doubtfire, Mrs. Doubtfire, with Robin Williams, the late Robin Williams. Secondly, I want to come now back to the other problem, the Irish backstop. Or let's call it, Michel, something else maybe. If they have a problem with the backstop, we call it safety net. I think that is something that we can certainly agree on. We need such a safety net, and that is not only for economic reasons. The main reason why we need a safety net is to make sure that violence is not returning on the island of Ireland. That is the main reason. And I have to tell you that I find it completely irresponsible of a number of British MPs and especially hardline Tories not to accept this. And I have to say, as we speak, there has been, and I asked to Michel Barnier and to Jean-Claude Juncker if they can confirm this during the debate, there have been not one legally feasible and practical alternative being put forward on the table by the UK at this moment. So clearly, I have to tell you that the backstop, as it is in the press today, in the British press, to limit the backstop to agricultural products, I think it's not enough because they're only representing 30%, 35%, I think, of the total imports of goods and services between the border. And a backstop can also not be unilaterally ended by Stormont because that's not a safety net, but that will be a permanent instrument for blackmailing during the coming negotiations. A safety net needs to be a safety net in the hands of both parties, not only of Northern Ireland, but also in the head of the European Union. And then my last and final remark, the future relationship. I think it's good to repeat, dear colleagues, because we are a new parliament. More than 60% of our members are new. So it's important that we repeat that we recall that. It's good to repeat that this parliament will never accept an agreement with the UK where Britain can have all the advantages of free trade and zero tariffs, and not aligning with our ecological, health, social standards in the future. That will not happen. I can tell you one thing. I know that there are some people in Britain who think, oh, these Europeans at the end of the negotiation, they will give in. Well, that's maybe possible, but we are not stupid. Huh? We are not stupid, and that means that we will not kill our own companies. We will defend our own companies. We will defend our own economy, we will defend our single market, and we will never accept what people call a Singapore by the North Sea. That will not happen, dear colleagues. Finally, to end, you know, Brexit started, as we all know. It was an attempt by David Cameron to heal the divisions in the Conservative Party and the Tory Party. And the consequence has been enormous divisions in British society. What we will not allow, we as Europeans, that this Brexit is creating turmoil and divisions in our European Union and in our European project.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verhofstadt. Mr. Lamberts, you have the floor.